Did you get another budget revision on there?
I didn't see anything. Did you, Joe?
Maybe she's bringing it.
Did you see another budget revision?
I didn't see it.
Well, this is,
I missed it completely.
this is Homeland Security, correct?
Preston County Sheriff's Department budget revisions and reimbursement for homeless.
Oh, reimbursement for Homeland Security. This is her budget. Okay, I'm sorry, I misread it.
Okay.
She must be bringing her other paperwork.
All right, I would like to call to order the meeting of the Preston County Commission. Today is February 15th, 2022, and we will begin with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We have a full house today. Let the record show that all three commissioners are present, Commissioner Price, Commissioner Smith, Commissioner Stone. And do we have anyone from the public to be recognized?
I don't believe so. Any of you in the back were going to speak?
We'll move on with something from our assessor's office. Do we have anything?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, we do. A tax correction for a Horn, Bethany, and Boone for personal property in the amount of $226.62.
Can I see it, please?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
There you are.
Thank you.
I'd like to make a motion that we approve this tax correction list as presented by the assessor's office. Second.
It's been properly moved and seconded to approve the tax correction as it has been presented from the assessor's office. Commissioner Smith,
Yes.
Commissioner Price?
Yes.
Yes.
And at this time, I'd like to make a motion that we approve the bills as they've been properly presented and approved. Second.
It's been properly moved and seconded to pay the bills that have been properly presented and reviewed. Commissioner Smith,
Yes.
Commissioner Price?
Yes.
Yes. That is definitely punishment for having a week off. The bill box is overflowing. All right, moving on to our regular scheduled appointments. And we will start with Dan Lazier, the Masontown Fire Chief, regarding Masontown Emergency Medical Service and Swift Water Rescue. Dan, come on up.
Thank you all. Want to bring up paramedic of mine too with me. I'd like
Okay,
to.
please.
Crystal Feathers. First item of business, we'll do the EMS part, and then we'll go to the Swift Water.
Okay.
Like I say, she's paramedic, and what we're doing is we're a licensed EMS agency as of right now at Mason Hill Fire Department. And we are starting a new program to go to advanced AOS. And she's been working on that license, and she'll explain that process real quick to you
Okay.
and tell you about that.
We have talked to our medical director, the county medical director, the state medical director. They're all on board with us bringing ALS services available to the county. Since we don't have an ambulance on our side of the county, we wanted to talk to you all and make sure that you were okay with us upgrading this license and becoming an even bigger part of the EMS in Preston County. The only thing that we're gonna ask is that we do need some funding to buy some equipment that will require us to be able to move forward with this process. July, we are ready to upgrade our license with the state. We just have to move on to equipment and medications if it's okay with you all.
Okay. Do you have additional information and quotes for equipment that would be needed to make such a change?
We have offered up in the past for the new monitor that we will need, medications, upgrade to the license, I'm going to be paying out of pocket.
Okay.
Monitor is the big one for us, that's the big cost.
Okay. I'm assuming you're not needing an answer like dead today. We've got to definitely have additional information and an additional work session, maybe even planned around this to discuss all of this that you're presenting today.
That's why we came early before the license.
Yes, and that's much appreciated.
See, what we got to thinking about was, since we are a licensed EMS agency, we've never asked for anything. And, I know the ambulance services, they transport, they do that and stuff. But we are a licensed EMS agent, and we haven't asked for a thing, And it's starting to get really quite expensive for us, more than it used to be. Oxygen, we used to be able to trade tanks with ambulance service. When we got empty, they trade us tanks. We can't do that anymore. And our expenses are going up, and our calls are going up. So, it's starting to get quite expensive. So, and it's going to get more expensive, and it's a great service to provide, we have more people that's going to be able to run now. Like our paramedics can't run under our BOS. So we've had other people join from Camp Ambulance. Kelly from Terra Alta has already joined our department because we're starting this service. So paramedics are going to be able to run with us now that couldn't before. So we're getting more people joining Macedown Fire Department since we're doing this.
Okay.
So on our end of the county down there, it's going to be a great service.
Yes.
It really will.
They're probably gonna need some clarification, Crystal, if this is gonna be like a first responder program or a full-time EMS.
Well, that was my next question was, is this going to look like an additional volunteer EMS organization within the county? Or is it going to fall under where you're paying people to run?
We do not pay.
It's a first responder.
What would happen is if Camp Ambulance would send a BLS crew, and it is truly an ALS call, we would have the agreements with the ambulance that our medics would go with their BLS crew to continue care.
Okay.
We just don't have the funding to start an ambulance. So to be able to have something on our side until Camp or Terra Alta or Preston or even Mon EMS can come and provide care for these patients. So we're under that understanding, and our medics are under the understanding that if a BLS crew comes and this is a true ALS patient, it's still volunteer. We will just have to go with the agency that is provided.
Okay. Well, like Dwayne said, we are going to need to have some additional dialogue with that. If I can get you to get with our county administrator, Kathy Mace, we would definitely like to schedule additional a meeting to get some more information on that.
Yeah, you tell us what you need, we'll go from there.
I think the first responder concept is something that no matter what happens with the ambulance and the EMS services in the county, the first responder is so valuable in timing, because you could get a call and be 3 minutes away in some situations, to respond. I think it's great. Thank you.
Then on this Swiftwater Rescue, wanted to touch base on it. What our plans are is our Swiftwater Rescue team. We provided service for the whole county as Swiftwater Rescue team for many, 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 many years. We're actually the only Swiftwater Rescue licensed with the state. And, you know, we can be called anywhere, being called different states and everything. We have a licensed swiftwater rescue team. And what we're planning on doing, now the state fire marshal has come up with a new law to where any fire department can open their fire department up for someone to join for a specific duty. Like if you are trained in a specific type of rescue and you want to join a department for that type of rescue, you're allowed to do that now. So we're going to open our Swiftwater rescue team up. We're going to do a countywide team. We're going to open it up to every fire department in this county. And I'm going to get a letter out to every fire department in the county. We want to open it up. We want to make it a countywide team that'll help our response in the county. I went back and pulled a bunch of records up and stuff. About 97% of the water calls in this county are Swiftwater rescue calls. There's a big difference between a dive team and a Swiftwater rescue team. I think there's a mix-up in this county. Dive team deals with things underwater. We deal with things on top of the water. And there is a big, big difference between a dive team and a rescue team. I just wanted to make you all aware that that's the process we're in to try to get a countywide team, Swiftwater rescue team. It'll help our response because we'll hopefully have people all over the county. We're in the process of getting a boat on a trailer. We have a box trailer now that is fully equipped. It takes a little longer for response. So we're going to just put a boat on a trailer to where our response will be quicker. We can stage it in different places if we're under a flood warning or something like that. We used to be toned every time there was a call for a water rescue in this county. We used to be toned automatically. Something has happened. We're not getting that now. I don't know what has happened, but we're going to try to see what's going on there and get that worked out. And, you know, we had a drowning, a guy last month in Swiftwater. He, an elderly fellow in his car that they didn't get to in time. Those are things, not in this county, but those are things that we need to work on. It's really, really important, So I want to make you aware that that's what we're working on, to get a countywide Swiftwater rescue team and get everybody involved in the whole county, all the fire departments, and just another service that we're working on for Preston County.
Do you have other interests that you know of from different departments in the county to be a part of that?
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah, we've already had people talking about, they don't have the training. They're really interested. They don't have the equipment. It's extremely expensive. And they don't have the training. They don't have the equipment and stuff. We already do. We have a big start on that. We have a whole trailer full of equipment for, like I say, we're not a dive team. We're a Swiftwater rescue team. And there's a big difference. And we already have that equipment. So we got a big start on it.
Good.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep, we're ready to go.
Appreciate the update.
Okay. Thank you all very much.
Thanks.
All right. We have about a minute if we want to go ahead and approve the minutes.
We approved the minutes, January 27th through February.
February 1st.
No,
February 1st.
yeah, okay. Jumped ahead.
All right.
I will second that motion.
It's been properly moved and seconded to approve the minutes for February 1st, 2022. Commissioner Price?
Yes.
Commissioner Smith?
Yes.
Yes.
This time I'd like to dispense with the reading of proceedings and vacation and accept them into the record.
Second.
It's been properly moved and seconded to dispense with the readings of the proceedings and vacation dated January 27th, 2022 through February 9th, 2022 and enter them into record. Commissioner Smith?
Yes.
Commissioner Price?
Yes.
Yes. Brings us to our 9:43 appointment with the Preston County Sheriff's Department with a budget revision and reimbursement for Homeland Security.
Just need President Stone's signature in 2 places and there's some more photos for you. That's for the reimbursement for the LPRs for Melissa to do the first
Need a motion to authorize me to sign this document, please?
I will make a motion at this time to authorize the president to sign this reimbursement for the Homeland Security grant.
Second.
Been properly moved and seconded to authorize the president to sign the reimbursement for the Homeland Security Grant. Commissioner Smith?
Yes.
Commissioner Price?
Yes.
Yes. And then Kathy, we have more budget revisions, correct?
I don't have any, now, Clerk, to the best of my knowledge.
This is it.
Dwayne, you have one?
All right, at this time, I'd like to make a motion that we approve the budget revision as presented by the sheriff's office.
It's been properly moved and seconded to approve the budget revisions as they have been presented by the sheriff's department. Commissioner Smith?
Yes.
Commissioner Price?
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Thank you, appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Now for state. So
Yes.
we have several estate settlements. I move we approve these for Castanova, for DeSantis, for Host, Huffman, Hughes, Parker Jr., Holding Sr., for Rose, Weister, Wiles, and Workman.
Second.
It's been properly moved and seconded to approve the estate settlement list, January 24th, 2022 through February 4th, 2022. Commissioner Price?
Yes.
Commissioner Smith?
Yes.
Yes. Moves us on to our 9:45 appointment with Dwayne Hamilton, OEM 911 with employee promotions.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I'll make this real quick. What we're asking is that you allow me to increase the pay of Sean Bernard and Terry Pratt, 25 cents an hour. That being for, I think we sent you all copies of their certifications and stuff. Terry and Sean both took the APCO, which is a international training course on training officers, being a training officer. So, which we don't have, we currently have two of, which makes it pretty hard considering we're constantly training somebody. So they went past the course and everything, and that's what we've done in the past is to give them an increase in their extra work. Because it is harder, they have to not only worry about their work, but somebody else's, and they're responsible for their actions as well as their own, so. And that's why, but other than that, all the different figures go on with the increases that are in the documentation and the possibilities.
Thanks, Dwayne.
I'd like to compliment our 911 center and the directors there simply because not only are we saving a lot of money by training our own people as they come through, but we're actually have gone to other counties that don't have any trainers on staff and help them out as a good neighbor thing. So that's huge. Appreciate it. Move we allow the 911 center promotion and extra duty pay.
No second.
Been properly moved and seconded to authorize the promotion of the 911 center employees as presented by Dwayne Hamilton this morning. Commissioner Price?
Yes.
Commissioner Smith?
Yes.
Yes.
Also, it's all within our own budget.
Yes, it is within your own budget, yes. Thank you.
So congratulations.
Well, thank you.
All right, we will move along to, actually, we're not, we are way ahead of schedule. So we will,
Well, we can take care of some of the new business.
sure, yes.
Real quick. I'd like to make motions this time. I know usually we leave it on the list for one more week, if that's what we want to do for the reappointments. I see that Delman Picker has decided not to finish his term out. Do we want to leave it on for one more week?
Is that I mean, I think we should
Are
probably.
these parks and recreation
Yes.
games? We've had those out there, and I think that please have come as a recommendation from them.
Okay.
All
right.
I think we've had that out there.
Okay, all
All
right.
right, okay, well then at this time, I'd like to make a motion to appoint Kevin Dixon to fill the unexpired term of Gail McVicker and Isaac Lostu. And so that's one motion.
Go ahead.
Second.
It's been properly moved and seconded to request to appoint Kevin Dixon to fill the unexpired term of Dale McVicker expiring December 31st, 2022 to the Preston County Parks and Recreation Commission. Commissioner Smith,
Yes,
Commissioner Price?
Yes.
Yes.
and also at this time, I'd like to make a motion that we reappoint Joshua Wall, Mike Herbright, and Matthew Weaver to their three-year terms expiring December 31st, 2024.
Second.
Parks and Rec.
It's been properly moved and seconded to reappoint Joshua Wall, Mike Algebright, and Matthew Weaver to a 3-year term expiring December 31st, 2024 to the Preston County Parks and Recreation Commission. Commissioner Smith?
Yes.
Commissioner Price?
Yes.
Yes.
And I'd really like to thank Dale McVicker. He worked very, very hard for the Parks and Rec Commission.
And I'm sure he will continue
Yes.
to help.
I'm sure he will, yeah. He just, I
He was
mean,
there
he'd be
from
out
the
there
get-go.
rolling, he'd be out there rolling his sleeves up, picking up trash and stuff, so, and working on the trails.
Yes,
So he
yes,
did a great
very
job.
instrumental.
He was, I believe, a charter member when we developed the park and recreation thing, but,
Yes.
so that's huge.
Okay, and then now at this time, I'd like to make a motion that we authorize the president to sign the SEEP grant reimbursement.
We need to wait on the secret.
Oh, we did,
There was
okay.
an error and we have to redo this.
All right, well, then I will cancel that. Well, then, that being said, sorry. There is a request from the Preston County Inn. He is requesting a letter of support from us for a grant request that he's putting in with the West Virginia Division of Culture and History to do some window updatings for their building for the Preston County Inn. He was approached while I was down in Charleston last, 2 weeks ago, I guess now. And encouraged to put in for it, so he's putting in for it, and I have the letter here, so I'd like to make a motion that we sign this letter of support.
Just a comment, there's no financial obligation,
No.
it's just a letter of support for
That's
this
all it is.
application.
Second.
It's been properly moved and seconded to authorize the commission to sign this letter of support for a request that's going out for a grant for the West Virginia Division of Culture and History to help with some upgrades to the windows for the Preston County Inn. Commissioner Smith?
Yes.
Commissioner Price?
Yes.
Yes. We're still a few minutes ahead of schedule, Kathy, so if you'd like to go ahead and start.
First item I have for you is a renewal of your liability and workers' compensation insurance schedule. This is something we always do pre-budget time, just so we can get an estimation of what those fees are gonna be for you. There are no changes. We kept with your cyber, liability looked the same. We've done an appraisal of all the buildings. So just to give you an update that has been submitted, and hopefully, I got it in well before the March 1 deadline, so hopefully we'll have information for you to be pretty precise at budget time. The next item I have for you is the advertising schedule for your new positions. We will be advertising 2 new positions. One is a facilities manager, the other is a county coordinator. The advertising will start March 1 with the resumes and applications due back March 18. So we'll proceed on with that procedure. I think that you all have received the job descriptions, approved all those. Also, the advertisements, you've reviewed that as well, so. Update on PSC number 4 generator project. I'm trying my best to navigate their website to request about $24,000 in survey and engineering costs for PSD number 4 for Stantec, who is their engineering firm. The pre-bid is on the 22nd. That will be held at the PSD location. Then we will have bids due back the 28th, with the bid opening set for March 1. This is a generator project for their water system. Then the engineer will be here for the bid opening, so that he will take all the bids and review them for you, since they're the project managers. And hopefully we'll get this underway and done quickly. This has been out there for a while.
Right.
So,
Makes you know why there aren't a lot of people who apply for these.
hazard mitigation, well, I just wish I could just turn in my paperwork, but I have to download it and it won't upload, and I don't know. Hard to teach an old dog new tricks, I guess, but try my best, and I do have a call into the manager and the grant manager, and hopefully I'll get that done today. Update on your ARPA request. Parks and Recreation has been requesting money for a while. Due to the change in the economy and the supply chain, they've given you an update on their project. I emailed that to you, I believe, and also gave you a hard copy. And anxious to know how that will, if you can make a decision on that one. An update on your reimbursement for the Preston flood recovery project. If you remember, this was a project that we got involved with Mon Conservation, and it was to open up some streams that were affected by some flooding. Help me, it's not been too long ago. I don't know the exact date. It was in the Rollsburg, Salt Lick. There were several areas. We actually received a check that was over $32,000. It met exactly the mark that we paid Laredo for that job. So we deposited that money. Also given Dwayne and his staff a complete folder on that as you move forward, since you have that agreement. If that opportunity would come available to you, I think we've got a good track record of how we move forward with those grants in the future, since this was our first endeavor. As far as maintenance issues, we've gotten some things fixed. Your glycol is, those boilers are in good shape now. I still have a finicky air handler that the alarm went off on. I made a call on that today. You will see as you're proceeding along, you're more than halfway through your performance contract where your boilers were replaced and your building envelope was done and your interior and your windows were done. And you're going to start seeing more kind of maintenance as those things age. I have had a visit with A.P. Newman about how we'll move forward with getting recommendations coming to you at budget time. So inventory got pushed back because of the weather. We're hoping that the good Lord will spare us a little bit here and we'll get some better weather and be able to start that inventory task, or that inventory task, which is to mark items so that we can, I have got the inventory tax on my mind again.
Please.
So anyway, we'll move forward with that as soon as we can. We're kind of doing that as weather's permitting. Let me see, I lost my agenda.
That was the last thing, maintenance issues on.
I do have two housekeeping matters. It's nothing that takes emotion. I will say we're almost done with our audit. This is the last letter. This is for 2021. It's just a management letter saying that the state auditor's office is doing your audit. This is our single audit. They've been here. We'll have all 4 audits complete. What are you laughing?
I'm laughing because how much did we spend on these audits? I mean, just for the people to know.
Over $100,000. However, I will say that,
I mean, I
it's our
believe in
decision.
transparency and I believe in
Oh, yeah.
audits and keeping track of everything.
Well, you have an exit interview with your auditors. We do ours in public. That's something that we've always done, just so the public has an opportunity to come and see if we have any findings. We'll have all 4 of those done at one time. It really, it gives you a better picture when you see that you might have an audit finding this year and you've approved that and that audit finding falls off. Nothing major so far. This is the big one. This includes your CARES funding. You've received significant money from the federal government. So, this one is, I believe it's over $750,000 on the federal side. That triggers your single audit. We haven't had one, but that'll all be completed before June 30. The other housekeeping matter is, this opens the account, banking account that allows you to move forward with your PSC number 4.
These need motions.
They do not need motions, ma'am. This is housekeeping.
Okay.
This is just a management letter that we do. This is just for your signature.
Okay.
All right. Needs no motion.
No motion, but I'd like for you to sign.
Okay. All right, let's go
One
ahead.
other item for you, and then I'll close. We did get permission, every time that you touch a historic building, you've got to go through the preservation office. We did get permission to move forward with the mounting of the television in the courtroom. They don't see any negative impact on that, so I do have a meeting scheduled, and I believe I put it on your calendar for the 23rd. So we'll be, the engineer and everyone will be there. It's a little bit harder than just mounting it. It's a relatively large piece of equipment, and so we have to put a plate behind it. So we have an engineer helping us with that. To the best of my knowledge, right now, we have nothing scheduled on the 18th for Board of Equalization. That's your final date. To the best of my knowledge, we don't have anything there. Continuing to work on your budget. That is moving along. Everybody has their budget sheets, and those are due back into Mary on March 2nd.
Okay. Let's move on with our 9:55 appointment with Jeff Fellers from the Tucker Community Foundation with the Run For It program. Good morning.
Good morning. Yeah, we were starting our 2022 Run For It event, which is the 16th annual. A little bit about it, it's a 2K, 5K walk that benefits nonprofits in Preston County. You guys have been supporting the program since 2014. For about $19,625, but the return on that investment has been over $154,000 back into Preston County. So it's been definitely beneficial to this county. Some of the teams that did it last year, just so you can see who it's actually benefiting, is Arthurdale Heritage, the Aurora Historical Society, Friends of the Cheat, the Kingwood Elementary School Stags, Preston County Humane Society, Preston County Parks and Recreation, the Preston Fund Runners, the Rollsburg Runners, and the Aurora Project. And last year, $8,872 and change went back into Preston County from last year's event, which was a virtual event because we were trying to keep everybody safe.
Sure.
We're trying to do it live this year, do it up in Davis like we have done in the past. But wanted to come in, talk a little bit about it, request $3,000 from you guys like you've done in the past, and see if you guys have any questions for me.
This is such a good program because when we give a $3,000 contribution, you're able to then give so much more to the organizations within Preston County that we just financially have not been able to give that type of funding to. And so this is a huge benefit, and we're actually getting ready, as you know, to go into our budget. We'll be budgeting these things, and so we certainly appreciate you coming before the commission to present this. Does anyone have any questions? This is a program that we've participated in for a while. So, thank you.
Familiar
For
with
the- Thank you for the
No, thank
continued
you.
information.
It's a fun time for anybody who wants to go, even if you don't want to.
Oh, no, it's great. It encourages the exercise and all that as well.
Well, it's good food, too.
Good food, family, it's a fun time for everybody up there.
And it's going to be
Is it the
this year,
same week
September
as-
24th.
It's gonna be on September 24th of this year, yes.
That is, that's before Buckwheat. I
Oh,
think,
good.
before Buckwheat.
Oh, is it? Because a lot of times it falls on.
Sometimes it falls on the same
Oh, that's
weekend,
good.
sometimes
That
it
would be great news
doesn't.
for a lot of Prestonians to
Yes, yes.
participate.
Well, it's
So-
good for me too, if I want to come out here then and have, some
That is
some
a-
pancakes and sausage, you know what I'm saying?
I'm not even sure if I'm in the right, let me get on the right page. 24th is the Saturday before the Buckwheat Festival, so that'll be a great opportunity for people to
Yeah, the
participate.
last couple of years, I mean, I know last year was virtual, but the last couple of years, it would have been before the Buckwheat.
Yeah, would have missed it, and then you
Yeah.
couldn't.
Yeah.
I know historically it's fallen
It's
off.
always fun on the same
Lockdown,
thing,
yeah.
which I know it makes it hard for people to have to do things here.
You guys should make a big deal about that, not falling on the Buckwheat Festival.
Maybe that should happen today, let's push it a week, go go a little later.
See how that works
If I
out.
recall correctly, you guys usually have the same time as the Leap Paper Fest.
Yes, yeah, we run it
Next
in
month.
coordination with them, because I always coordinate with them, to get out make sure the sheriffs and the local law enforcement, OEM and, the EMS, people are all on staff, just in case there would be an accident or anything like that, so,
That's good,
yeah,
thank you.
thank you, guys.
Thank you, have a good day.
You too.
Moving along to our 10 o'clock appointment at 10:04 with Roberta Baylor with the Economic Development Authority and Tim Watchering of Prodigy with a request for ARPA funding for broadband grant.
So you all should remember, we were here a couple of
November.
months ago, to ask for money, to match the ARPA grants, match with the ARPA grants.
$1.69 million dollars.
Yes.
You're on it.
Okay, I knew it was just short of 1.7.
Yes. So we're here today to tell you that the grants were funded by the state, and we are here to request that funding. The total project cost is just over $10 million. And, you know your numbers, so, we're getting a pretty good return on that.
Yes.
That money. It looks like we're gonna be able to provide service to, 1,600 to 1,700 targeted addresses. The one thing we do want to make sure that you are aware of is that the program requires that matching money be spent first. So, we can't start the project until that matching money is available. I know that there is some reporting requirements associated with that money. I have read the treasury document, which was interesting.
Yeah, no doubt.
So, I am prepared to help with any of that reporting so that it's as easy as possible on Kathy. We can give it to her in a form that she can just plug it in, or I'd be willing to work with her and get on the system and plug stuff in ourselves, just to make it as easy as we can for everybody. And I'm gonna.
Yeah, and I've actually been in contact with Charleston quite a bit over the past few weeks, and just so you know the timeline, we're hoping that I sign off on the grant documents, hopefully by the end of this month, if not the first week of March. So at that point, so long as this money is released by then, we can start putting fiber in the air and getting these two projects completed within 12 months. Also, just to give you an update on a couple of the other grants, since the last time we were here, we found out that we did not win the USDA Community Connect application that we submitted. That was basically for the Aurora area. However, since learning that, I was able to take basically that same area, it'll be everywhere from Cranesville all the way down through to Aurora. And then we also added in the Kingwood Pike. So that'll be new Preston County area.
Oh, great.
That will be included in that third lead application. I don't anticipate knowing the results of that probably till mid-March at best. So that's hopeful and optimistic that we'll win that one as well.
Optimistic?
Optimistic, very much so.
Well, I've always, when we didn't get the USDA, which we were pretty certain that was coming through, I kind of felt like maybe it was a program that might have been discontinued or something, and they're replacing it with something else. I mean, I don't have facts on that, but that was
I
just
really
kind
thought
of
that as well. I had the conversation with Richard Jenkins with the USDA, and that proved not to be the fact.
Okay.
However, I believe it might be a blessing in disguise, especially being that if we win the lead grant through the state. Reason being is that when we created that budget for that Community Connect, that was 2.5 years ago.
yes.
Pricing has drastically changed. So I was able to update the lead grant with the updated figure, cost of today. And I think it's really going to be a blessing in disguise.
Meant to be.
Meant to be.
And we are going to, on that grant that we did not receive, we are going to send a letter in questioning some of the procedures that they followed. We don't think everything was handled
Yeah.
quite as well as it should have been. And, you know, I think we need to bring that to their attention. So,
Well, when we approved, the ARPA funding, of course, releasing it was contingent on being awarded, so congratulations to everyone who worked hard to get that through. Much appreciated, and, you know, we're excited to release those fundings to get everything started. Can you just give everyone just a little glimpse or snapshot, and maybe this is what this is, but what that looks like, what people in the county around is those two grants going to be able to?
Yeah,
So this
so,
is not the end either. I mean, this is
yeah,
just.
you can take that, yeah. So just a kind of a 10,000-foot view, we've already got a strong network presence in the northern part of the county. However, there's just a couple areas that we didn't have covered. So it covers all those pockets in the North Preston area. It also covers a lot of areas in East Preston, you know, especially coming down to the Dale Mountain area, the Wetzel Settlement area. And then really we move through the unserved areas of Kingwood, Dogtown Road, Bacon Burger Road, those areas, basically this side of Route 7 for Kingwood. And then we really push into the Valley District, Masontown, Arthurdale, unserved areas. And then if Lead 3 happens, we'll hit the Kingwood Pike, and then again, everything from Cranesville, Afton area, clear down to Aurora. And then we're still waiting to hear the results of the NTIA, which really covers basically everything south. The RDOF, and then we've also got our RDOF. Hopefully that money will be released. We were hoping this month, but we just got the announcement that it's probably going to be next month, which at that point blankets everything else in the county. So our goal is to have the county completely fibered within 2 to 3 years. The RDOF has to be done within 5 years, but we want to push that up and try to get aggressive and be covered within 2 to 3 years. And then Preston County will be a gig county. The only one.
I'm glad that's still the end goal, right?
It is, absolutely.
One thing we've learned through COVID and all of, you know, this advancement is that we rely on the broadband infrastructure now just as much as we do other critical services. And so I think it's very important that we get those types of things buttoned up, and certainly appreciate your efforts.
Think of all the companies and individuals who would love to move here.
Well, I
Go to
think,
work at their computer and watch the deer.
well, I think we saw a small image of that with Alpine Lake
Alpine Lake blew up after
after we got
after
fiber
you guys
there.
got fiber up there, it just took off.
So I think that's going to happen throughout the county.
and the state funding that you are supporting, that money needs to be spent within 12 months. We can ask for a small extension if needed. And if we do ask for that, it'll be due to the supply chain issues. That would be the only thing we're holding behind.
All right. Thank you, guys.
All right.
Thank you.
The check will be in the mail.
Thanks, Dave.
Come straight into his personal.
Yeah.
All right, that brings us to our next appointment. Apologize, we're running just a little bit behind, but lots of stuff going on the agenda today. David Bolliard, let's see, to look at local.com internet security. Good morning.
Do you have a couple other things? I gotta be able to set up a laptop and a projector. Do you want-
We can-
Yeah, you guys can go ahead and move on if you need to.
Okay. All right, if we can move that to IT Mindshare, updates and recommendations for the 2022-23 year. Good morning, Brandon.
You know how long you have. I've seen them set up.
Oh, I know. Good morning, everybody. Would like to first start off with is, as we know, last year at exactly this time, we had lost a member of our IT department, Armstrong, so we'd like to have a moment of silence to remember him.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
It has been a very interesting year. We've had 2 resurgences of COVID variants, a lot of remote work, loss of bid, a couple other things going on, but overall, we have maintained and kept our staff. We have not missed anything. We have been able to help augment to the support, get in line with a new contract, and we have maintained and stayed within budget of that contract. So overall, since Ben's departure, everything has been smoothed out and we are in good shape. For the upcoming budget, there is not a whole lot of change as for hours or for the products themselves. It's a slight increase for food service we've added, but everything is pretty much standard.
Okay.
We do have an addendum in there for additional support hours if the main is exhausted, so you have that ready for budgeting. I've also added in a second addendum for 911. They are asking for specialized support and emergency operations mode kind of situation. So I have that included in here with that as well. As everybody is telling you, supply chain is horrible right now.
Yep.
I can look at something today and it will be gone in 4 hours. Amazon, wherever I
It doesn't
can get
matter
it,
what
I'm
you're
going.
doing, basically, if you want it, you better buy it that
Correct.
second.
So I got a couple of quotes here lined up for you. They should be good until the next budget cycle. I worked out with the vendors, so at least we have the pricing locked in. And that includes some updated iPads for you guys. I finally got walked down on that one. I know it was a little hard there.
That's all right.
So we have some things going on in that one. Overall, our security posture is very good. We have the appropriate software deployed on all of our main infrastructure equipment. We have still more to do in security and we're getting there, but there is no financial cost to that. That's all internal and outer space. One of the items I am including in this, which is going to be a drastic change, is a MDR EDR software. That is an endpoint detection or a managed endpoint detection and response program. What this application does is it tracks forensics information and how processes and things are working on a computer. And in fact, the software that your cyber insurance will use in case they were ever activated, this is the same software that they are going to use. So you are already going to be way ahead of the game. Along with this comes, it's called a SOC 2 compliance center. This is actual manned data center, 24/7 security professional looking at our data, determining if there is an actual threat, and if there is, to take action upon that threat and to notify us to let us know something's going on. That I've calculated at about $27,000 increase in our budget to have that item. I highly recommend it, and in fact, I would like to make it a permanent item in our budget. Just that way, it's always there. And this gets deployed out to every machine that we have, whether it's in a patrol car, an office, 911, this building here, your Apple iPads, all of that will be covered. So overall, very good. I will say, in the cybersecurity world, we are seeing a change. You saw earlier in the last year and this year where they were targeting the big companies. They are no longer doing that because it has become a big risk to them. Prior, very low risk of getting caught with a high potential reward. When they went after Solar Winds and them
Yeah.
and Colonial Pipeline, it stirred the government up, and that's what they didn't want.
Mhm.
So now they're targeting people like you guys again. They're going for the smaller fish, not small mom and pop, but not big governments either. So you all are just right in that category. And this software and everything that we are providing helps protect with that.
A question.
Yes.
And it's kind of for you and for you, but we had talked previously about using CARES money. I'm sorry, ARPA money. I apologize. There's different plots. For dealing with cyber threats, I wonder if that's a possibility that we could use this for that. You know what I mean? Because to keep that from going down, and I mean, I know it's not an enormous amount of money, but still, $27,000. So, and I don't know if that's a possibility because that's something to think about for budgetary time. You know what I mean?
There's certainly a section of the urban funds that can be used for cybersecurity. I just have to, we had an interim rule, now we have a final rule.
Right.
We would have to look at that, just a note on that, that would be a one-time allocation.
Well, I know,
Wouldn't do it-
But at least it would take it would
get us
help us this budget year, you know what I'm saying?
I'll just have to look at it.
I mean, I know it's not an enormous amount of money, but at least it might defer a little bit of the cost for this budget year and moving forward. Because we had talked about possibly helping, other, the
Yeah, yes, sir.
PSDs and other things
Yeah,
like
yes,
that
sir, we
also
did.
with this same thing, because, God forbid somebody.
I believe it is software related.
Yeah.
I'd have to go back and read the final rule, but in a conversation a long time ago was to help water companies, sewer companies to, some of them don't have updated software, and we
Right.
talked about that being a possibility.
Yeah, and
I will forward you the final rule as well, and you can take a look at that, but Brandon and I'll take a look at
I'm just-
the cybersecurity.
And the reason is it's more heightened awareness now too, especially with the situation in Eastern Europe right now. They're doing, the Russians are throwing a lot of cyber attack stuff at some of the NATO countries and things like that. So it's a possibility they may use that as a distraction for us too. So it's something to get ahead of before it becomes too big an issue. It's just a thought. So, that's it, I'm done.
Any other questions? Well, thank you again.
What is
Put
IT?
the email on it.
Okay.
You're gonna be here.
Yes.
You have a question here.
What is the IT mindshare policy if one of its clients does get ransomware? Do you guys
So,
have backups or do you just pay or?
no, we do have encrypted backups. I won't get too much into how we actually do things, but yes, we do have an incident response policy and procedure that is formulated with our cyber insurance as well.
We
And I
also have
will say-
additional insurance.
Yeah,
The commission was proactive in that, took additional liability insurance for that.
yeah, I was gonna add, through our insurance, we have a situation where if we have something happen, we actually can call them immediately and they will actually have a person that can talk us through how to take care of this, so.
Plus with these guys, it's kind of like they are on the same page as our insurance carrier, and the insurance carrier is fantastic because it's the state, counties, and municipalities risk pool. So it's our insurance company that we actually own, and it's a nonprofit kind of thing, and they have been on the cutting edge of the cybersecurity on our behalf, and so between these two great groups, it's pretty amazing the protection we have. Just a little warning for those who might want to know.
Any other questions? Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Brandon.
Thank you, Brandon.
It's patrol.
All right, that brings us to our last appointment with David Ballard.
Yeah, he would like to set up, we usually use this wall for PowerPoint, he'd like to
We
set
could just
some
have
up.
about a couple minutes.
Sure,
here, so.
that's fine.
So we'll just take a 5-minute break if we could.
You can start signing.
I've already started on these business.
Yeah, good. How are you?
You need these, man?
Because I always there.
He's still here.
Yes, everything will stay the same except for,
You got it. I just saw the screen.
Okay, well, we need to go over that. For some reason, I've got my stuff all over. And we have to spend money. So, I don't know where that is. I don't know where that's in. But it's in that budget.
yeah, all the software I'm aware of is in that.
Yep, yes. Let's step out here for just a second.
I was talking to them right there, Susie, the person that had been farming and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I want to hire up there for the next one. he was thinking about development.
The request that you put in for the statistics, is that going to be a shared mailbox with multiple people?
That's right. Not there yet. No, right here. It's happening. It's fall. That's how it was, Pennsylvania thing.
Yeah, that's not.
It's like they haven't finished Pennsylvania before they can come back with it. Or press the county. That's one thing.
We didn't-
Right,
I mean, he mentioned it here.
but that's all it is. That's how the grade systems all work.
Somebody can help somebody else.
Right, it's all on us, it's all.
Can you do it up here, David? Can you put it up there?
Yeah, I'm gonna shoot there and see, I hope I don't, yeah, so.
Yeah, yeah. That's what he usually is. He just moved them to this side.
We expect to be done with that. You know, by,
Yeah, because I didn't go there already, in my opinion.
Most of the time, we put it up.
Closer to that,
Right, yeah,
I'm
there.
gonna go see my doctor. I'm gonna check that.
Where you plug in or what are you around? Right here. How far can we go?
hey, the way you sound, I'll go with that.
Yeah.
You need something to put it up on? See, it's in the phone.
Right there, you need something to-
I just had my folder and everything, I don't know what to do with it.
What are you looking for, Kathy?
With that folder I had,
Right back there in that chair.
No, I'm just trying to take it, see how far I can take it back.
It's just
what's
help.
this?
That's yours, that's all mine.
Under the.
Post and stuff for you.
Here. There you go. Need something for that one?
Oh, that, yeah. And I was just trying to, maybe, the lights.
Yeah.
I turned these lights off.
Sure, let's turn them all off. Yeah. Can we focus it in better? There we go. You guys, if you guys will move to this side, so unless you can see it from there. Okay. All right.
Just want to give us a little introduction
Yes,
for the press.
My name's Dave Bragan. I'm a business owner in Preston, Taylor, and Harrison County. And I've been working the last 5 years, frustrated with the internet and what's been happening just in our industry, being the funeral industry and kind of what's happening with our obituaries and some of the things that I get up every night and sometimes work 7 to 14 hours a day and 7 days a week and end up, the internet companies are making all the revenue off of us while we're sitting and doing all the work. And it's happening to a lot of small businesses. So I started about 5 years ago doing some research. I was issued a patent 3 years ago, and then I just got one January of last year. What it's all about, I'm from Preston County, born and raised here, graduated high school. I'm all about the small town, the communities, and after doing a ton of research and going over the internet, what I'm finding is that we are creating the data, we're creating the information, and everybody else is profiting off of it. And it's just really tough for me to do all this work and try to take care of employees, give back to the community, knowing that they're sitting there, generating all this revenue, and we could actually have a way to stop it. And so my last patent is part of this presentation, and then all the patents kind of work together. So my goal, I'm working with Trilogy out of Morgantown, and then CESD, which is a nonprofit affiliate of WU. And we've been really just studying the business, studying the traffic, and what some options are. At this point, I've talked to people in Charleston, and we're just really looking at trying to get a pilot with 3 to 5 counties. You guys are my first presentation. I've got 9 other counties that I'm kind of focusing on. I had done some presentations initially with the EDA and some of the Chamber of Commerce's, and now we're kind of at a point where we're really wanting to kind of launch the pilot and get things started. So ultimately, my goal is to work on taking back the community with online portals. With that, right now, the community internet landscapes, what's happened is we've allowed the internet to control us, and it's time that we take that control back. What's actually happening in the internet, we're seeing tons of fraud. We were just talking about that in security. We're seeing tons of scraping of data.
And that's where a lot of the information is being taken because all of our websites and everything are just fully open. And then the other thing is that we're allowing a lot of local tax and we're keeping people from being able to give back because we don't see anything on the national level. Just e-commerce sales, and this is from 2011 to 2021. I mean, you're looking at $760 billion dollars went through the internet in 2021. And the big question is that how much of that's coming back to the local people? Local governments and businesses are experiencing internet security breaches, a lot of key information. This was some financial reports that were some losings, and of course it's in the billion. In 2020, financial loss suffered by individuals was $4.2 billion. One of the things you guys were just talking about not too long ago was just security and different breaches. I will tell you, being in Harrison County, the Harrison County courthouse was hacked and had to do a ransom, along with the Bridgeport, city of Bridgeport, their water department. So there was a lot of information and stuff that was out there. So just goes over identity theft, fraud, losses that soared in 2021 or 2020, excuse me. That is at about $56 billion. And like I said, a lot of it is being done through social media. They're looking for payments, robocalls, texts, emails. A lot of times people don't know what they're getting, if it's valid or not. Everything looks real. Social media, many people are unaware, ignore the danger of inadvertently leaking sensitive personal information when they post on social media. This is especially true when it comes to images that may capture sensitive information. And I know several of you, there's several accounts on Facebook, Instagram that are out there that are not me. People are posing to be me. You report them, and trying to get them to shut that down is really difficult. One of the things they were really looking at recently was the 10-year challenge, where they were having your picture before and then currently. So, that information is out there. Just some fraud information that's hitting the government sector, and these numbers just blew my mind. In 2020, when COVID was, in the high, and we were giving out unemployment left and right now in 2020, there's $63 billion in fraud. And West Virginia was 83 million. The numbers are just staggering. Social Security estimates that there's about 7.9 billion worth of improper payments, and the thefts target about 12 billion through IRS. Going into additional fraud is looking at some of the state programs. Medicaid in 2020 was $447 billion. And then it breaks it down. So the total federal system was about 826 billion. A lot of the focus again is, back in the day when I first started in business and before a lot of the internet stuff, a lot of the businesses gave back a lot more. They were able to donate, profit margins were a little bit better, and we weren't really competing with the prices and stuff that are out there. The internet sector contributed about 2.1 trillion to the U.S. economy in 2018-19, and about 2.45 trillion in 2020. Couple of these are part of the reason why I've been on such a mission and trying to figure out, how to stop this. Legacy Tribute is a perfect example. What they are is they are a internet company that goes across the internet and scrapes our obituaries. What they've done is they put them on a single database that goes across the country. And what happens then is that they're able to collect traffic from all 50 states all around the world on levels that we could never get that amount of traffic. And so then what happens is they sell ads, they sell the data, they sell the data of the users, and then profit in setting an office somewhere on a computer while we're doing all the work. And so they just recently sold to an investment company for $1 billion. And we see, we've got the newspaper here, they struggle to keep their content controlled. We struggle to keep it, and it's really hard to do that. LegalZoom, looking at attorneys, They're doing about $2 billion in business and doing, or it's a $2 billion business and about 540 million a year in revenue. Airbnb, and I'm sure that there's some here local, $10 billion and 4.8 billion a year in revenue. And the big question is that what we're missing out on is we're allowing fraud to go out the back door, tons of money and tax revenue that nobody's going after. We're just allowing them to conduct business, put hurt on us, and we continue to struggle. Internet advertising, the revenue is expected to hit 460 billion by 2024. And how can we ensure that local agencies are getting a share of the profit? Companies and agencies first posted to their website by utilizing the portal. They will share the link then to social media. So let me take a step back and just kind of give you a little bit more information. So right now, when we share on Facebook, it just shares to our page and it's there for everybody to see. When I share something on my website, an obituary, I then click a link and that link goes to Facebook. So the way the portal concept works and what we're trying to do is actually get more people to actually put their information on their website, have it shared as a link to Facebook for social media, and then the portal puts a security wall and keeps them from being able to scrape that back out. And so what that does is a lot of these, bots they call and different things that are going in there, that will then keep them from being able to scrape that information. And then also it gives you an extra security feature from being able to get to that information. And pretty much what Facebook, Google, and all these companies are doing is they're utilizing the data, they're utilizing the traffic, and then they're selling ads around it. And so the question is that if we're controlling the traffic as a county or a city or whatever area that may be or by the state, then why can we not have the ads control the content and make sure that all the people come through that portal and the site and make sure that we protect that information? So, and a lot of times they ask, when you just look at these numbers, I mean, how many people go to Facebook and as soon as you see something happen, you post it? You don't think about the dollars that you're creating for somebody else. I mean, it blows people's minds. So again, the big thing that we're trying to focus on is fraud, scraping, bringing jobs, and bringing revenue back to the local area. With the portal, and we use Google and stuff every day. And like I said, a lot of it's my industry, so I can give you a little bit more information, but you guys can go out there and Google all you want. But if you look up cheap cremation in Kingwood, Preston County, you'll get a couple funeral homes, but you also get a company called Heritage and Legacy. They are cremation third parties. They're out of Florida and Texas. And what they do is they tell the families that are local, get them to work with them, try to find somebody in the area to pick them up. They contract and do business with the local people, and they don't pay tax. They conduct business, and they're wanted right now in 4 states by the attorney generals for overcharging people and not returning remains. And so somehow we've got to protect our businesses in our area, and we've got to be able to put something out there from a city level, a county, and a state level, and possibly nationwide, so that if somebody wants to go to an app and they look up Preston County and they come to Kingwood, they know that Browning's Funeral Home is in Kingwood, Road Truck Love is in Kingwood. If you go to Newburgh, it's Barry Funeral Home. Same thing with any other business out there. The way it works with the internet and Google, and what's so frustrating is that I spend thousands of dollars a month trying to keep my rankings and compete with these national companies. And that's money that I could be using for other things. I try to improve my buildings. I try to keep good employees. I try to keep good benefits. And it's just hard for us to do that. And so we've got to work together and actually make an impact and know that the traffic that's coming through this area is more valuable than any structure in this county. I mean, we're looking at millions of dollars that we're allowing somebody else to make off of us that needs to be kept in the county. So we went over the scraping, data information, things like that. All I'm really trying to do is really give kind of an overview. At some point, if you guys want to look at it a little bit more, I was looking at having a, kind of like a town hall, inviting more of the chamber members, some of the EDA. Also Trilogy's agreed to come up, talk about some of the internet part of it and how things work, so. Again, how to prevent it, we've got to stop allowing people just to be able to get our information. I mean, we have to sign in to go into Facebook, but you don't have to sign in to look up whose deed is on record at the county courthouse. And we're just allowing that to be wide open for people to be able to have access. By setting up portals, having a quick login with an email or a password just to get people in will stop a lot of that extra stuff. And then it allows you to have the data and the information to be able to make the revenue that everybody else is making. Like I said, the overall goal is just to be able to, put the control of the internet, the traffic, the security, protect the community back in the local area. That will all take jobs. And again, everybody goes back to how to pay for that. Decrease in fraud and then advertising revenue is ultimately where it's at. Again, I think kind of the story just kind of covers it, but ultimately it's to look at the portal concept, and really to try to start from the ground level and go up. I know that a lot of the internet companies have been to DC. They've had them sit in the chair and say, how are you controlling age content? What people are looking at that to help with the fraud? And the only thing they can say is, I'm working on it. Step one is to create the portals. Step two is to get our businesses and everything protected. And then step three, which is actually a patent that's pending right now, is actually ID verification. And what that would ultimately come to is that when you activate your portal and you activate your users, you can actually start registering people to protect the people that are in your area that are getting stuff ordered, shipping, validate their addresses, keep track of voter registration when somebody dies. I mean, it's just, once you get the foundation, you can build and use into multiple things. So does anybody have any questions?
Really good question.
Huh?
I don't know enough to ask a question. But our cyber people,
I got a couple questions for you here.
Okay.
Yeah, I was hoping, I
Yeah.
see you there, I'm
Yeah.
like, man, I hope Brandon's here.
Yeah.
No, go ahead.
Yeah. No, I'm good. Because the
Oh,
rest of it really goes into just the way things work and stuff like that. But this is really just kind of an introduction.
So, the question I have is, we put something on PrestonCountyWB.gov.
Mhm.
We share that link with your portal. What stops Google or MSN or Bing from searching that content with their web crawler and producing it on their side and not having to log into the portal?
Okay. That's going to be, the technology part of it is definitely going to go to Trilogy, but my understanding and the way it works with, I have an Obit site right now, and the way that it works, what we're trying to do is, if it's on the website and it's shared as a link, the link always goes back. And so it's hard for them to scrape the information or the content if they're not going to the complete story. Okay. So by doing everything as a link, you're always driving the traffic back, no matter what you do, back to the portal. So what it would actually be is that, and it's almost like it's a general site. It's not an extra step. That's the one thing I've had everybody ask me, is it an extra step? What do we have to do? It's not. What it is it's almost like a shadow site, and it's all just a pass-through that will eventually have ads, will be branded for your city, state, or county. But we don't want to take away and have extra steps. We're just trying to push everybody through that's registered so that it stays within that portal. Okay.
So would you recommend that for things local, like if I'm looking up for like our trees or anything, landscaping that, to go to the portal first and look at the resources there?
You can go through, it's going to take a little bit of time for people to get used to it. What's going to happen is that you'll go through Google, but once people are registered, it will shoot through the portal, and then you'll get a validated page showing that it's validated. Ultimately, what should happen is that we should have an app that people can have on their phone, because apps is where it's at. You know what I mean? And when it comes down to wanting something, looking for a business, wanting to share information, sell a house, rent a house, sell merchandise. I don't know if you guys realize this or not. In some of the stories and things I read, it blows my mind. There was a gentleman selling a motorcycle through Facebook, went to the park to meet the people. They stole the bike, murdered him, and took off because we don't know who we're communicating with on the other end. I can put up a picture, you can put up a picture and not have any clue. And so that was part of the reason from not just validating the business, but also protecting the people that are here. Because, everybody's dealt with fraud, identity theft, and they've dealt with, somebody stealing their credit card and using it on the internet. So, but so the goal is, because we've looked at Google, we do not want to take away from Google rankings. When you look at it, it's almost like it's our own Google that we control the content and traffic and where it's going. So, and what it would allow us to do is it would allow us then to be a national platform eventually, to where if somebody went to that app and they were in Charlotte, North Carolina, and mom died at Preston Memorial Hospital, they know that when they go in there and they look for somebody local, they're not from here. They've moved away 25 years ago. They don't know who to go to. And that's all money and revenue that we need as a business. The other part of it is that if we get our users validated and we're doing business on the internet, there can be a feature built in to actually control the sales and tax those companies that are not paying anything. Ancestry right now is unbelievable on the amount of revenue that they generate and the stuff that they do. And it is all tax-free. They pay federal and no state.
Right.
So.
It's interesting to me because looking at it through a different concept of just the things that you're discussing, think about it. When you Google something, and it might be, I want to send flowers to someone that lives in Oakland, Maryland, or whatever, something to that effect, you get a business that does it on behalf of all of our florals that's taken a cut that our florists could get.
Yeah.
So that's really cutting out that business that's down in Georgia or across the country or in another country. It's cutting them out and it's getting all of the revenue straight to our person so that our people that pay taxes here are getting the maximum money.
Yeah, the biggest problem is, and like I said, with Google and Facebook, and like I said, a lot of it just been obituaries and studying. It used to be when Facebook first started, I'd share an obituary, everybody would see it. Now they've limited it who sees it, and they want me to pay $50 to $100 to boost it so that people see it. And another example, our website companies that control the funeral homes, and I'm trying to get away from them, have been bought out by investment companies that are wanting the traffic and to control the internet. Well, during COVID, going back to flowers, this is a very interesting concept. What they ended up doing is they put a convenience fee on every flower order. They control 80% of the funeral home websites across the country, and they were pumping down between $4 and $5 million a month.
And you don't know if your tree ever gets planted.
Yeah, or what you're getting. And the problem is that if you do a $100 flower order, and I deal with this a lot, by the time you pay the company, they give the funeral home pennies on the dollar commission, the florist gets hers. One, they either don't get what they paid for and they're mad, or they feel like they're overcharged because 30% of it is margins that everybody else is making.
Right.
So.
And there's all kinds of concepts. I mean, it goes from renting cars, to
Yeah.
all these big companies that are, taking that and getting it to the small person eventually, but after all the profits pretty much busted out of it.
Yeah, it's just that it comes down to you have to be a national platform in order to be able to compete on the local level. And a lot of the companies, Newsbreak is one of them. They are scraping all the news stories, putting them onto one site. They have, I don't know how many clicks a month, millions of clicks a month, and sell the ads. And then of course, and I've learned so much, like I said, just by researching, but us using the internet, and I didn't know this, but like our cell phone companies and a lot of internet companies, the data that they're selling and the revenue dollars is unbelievable. I mean, I can't even imagine the numbers, because I'm wondering why all these companies are, really wanting to expand the internet, and Verizon, a lot of these places are getting into it. And that's what it's coming down to. They're making their money not off the service. They're making it off selling the data.
Yeah.
I just got a question, David. So if this goes forward, and I'm say I'm a restaurant, and I want to participate, like, do they have a fee? So
No, so ultimately the way this will work is that One, it's high-tech jobs. It's all internet-based. So there's definitely a lot of government funding to get things up and running. Most of it is just to see the traffic count and to be able to place ads. And so like the county commission meeting today, I don't know if it's on Facebook, I don't know exactly where it's at, but what should happen is it should ultimately be on your site, and then it should be shared from there, to the other sources. And then that way, if you're pulling that back, then you can actually get revenue and a percentage off of that. So it's not to actually charge fees. It will generate enough traffic. If you take all the county sites and the businesses and the nonprofits and all their sites were going into one place, the amount of clicks that you would get if they had to go through there, I can't even imagine what that number would be on a monthly basis. So all of it is based on cutting into the ad revenue and keeping business local is pretty much what the goal is. And being able to tax the businesses that want to sell in the area that are not local, of course, they would be on a separate link or page, but then we would have a way to tax them for that.
The county doesn't have the ability, but municipalities have the ability now to put a 1% sales tax on internet sales.
Mm-hmm.
I could think that this would even escalate that
Oh, yeah.
that money coming in.
Yeah. When I looked at the internet sales and revenue, and like I said, I don't have it on a spreadsheet, but I was going back and playing with the numbers. But if we just got 5% of the internet sales based on the population of West Virginia compared to the rest of the US, it would be an extra $1 billion a year for the state to divvy out. I mean, it's just the numbers are unbelievable.
Well, and I think a lot of our local small businesses don't have the money in their budgets to even think about. I mean, for example, I was part of a business where the more that I invested into my business, then it pushed me up the ranks in my zip codes.
Yeah.
So that I was the first seen and the
Yeah.
first hit when people Googled my area. And so I would think that, a lot of places can't do that. A lot
No.
of businesses can't
And-
afford to be punched up there in a Google search because there's all that cost. You have to get so many likes and shares and clicks to generate that type
It
of
is.
stuff.
It's really, and like I said, I mean, I see the numbers and where our margins are going, and I want to be in business 10, 15, 20 years down the road. But, I want people to come to me if they need an urn or a casket. I don't want them going to the internet and being able to get it cheaper online than I can buy it for. I mean, that's ultimately where it's at. Yeah, and that's happening a lot.
So to put it into the old guy's terms,
Okay.
what will we see this as it evolves and how we become part of it?
Okay, so what would happen in kind of the first step, and with talking to Trilogy, and like I said, I'd have to bring them in. All it would be is that when you go to your website, it wouldn't be anything that anybody would actually notice. Your domain would have like a redirect through the portal that would take people to the site. And then that would allow us then to start calculating all the clicks based on the county commission, each little town, each business. And so ultimately what would happen is that if somebody would Google Kingwood and be looking for a business, hopefully the company is called To Look Local, because everybody is like, I want to look local, we're to look local. I mean, that's pretty much what it's coming down to. So if you were to look local, you would actually see that Google ranking is ultimately what we're shooting to get, so that people go there first. And then by merging all of our traffic together, going into the portal, and then from there, not being able to block people from scraping that information. Like I said, you would still have your Facebook share. Everything that you're doing now would not be any different. But I think it would get to the point where people would want to keep their information more on their website and do the shares from there to protect the content. And especially once they see the dollar amounts that could come in from those clicks and the data that you're collecting.
From the user end, would there be any kind of registration required? You mentioned registration. And
Well, the one thing that,
verification.
initially, to get people to use, you want to make it very easy, very simple, but it's almost like Facebook. Once we sign in one time and it's registered on our phone, you can go in. So what would happen is that initially we talked about just having you sign up with an email. That gives us a little bit of a, we're starting to collect data, but it's not to the point where it's saying, hey, we need to validate your address. Know that you're in Preston County. Know that your house is at 128 East Main Street. Those are features that you can add later to protect, to say, hey, I'm wanting to buy something from, somewhere in Atlanta, a flower shop. And actually, let's not do that. Let's say I need a part for my car. I want to order it from someone in Atlanta. They know by doing the validation and having this stuff stored that when we're communicating, it would actually allow them to be able to get my address, validate it, know that it's coming to me without me having to enter that on the open web. And that's ultimately what we're trying to do. You should never be putting your social, date of birth. I mean, you don't know. I mean, there's sites out there that look so good that when you click on them, you don't know what you're clicking. You don't know the information you're putting in there. And I've had it happen to me. So ultimately, it would just be a user log in with an email. And that actually does a couple things. Once we start getting people to share the content through the portal, we can email the updates. And so what that does as well is that drives people back to the traffic. Oh, the county commission is expanding broadband. You know what I mean? This is happening. So it really just allows everything to be controlled locally. Any other questions?
Great presentation. It's good information.
It is. Like I said, the business part of me is coming out, and like I said, I want to tackle it so bad. I've attempted to close legacy and tributes down, and it's really hard.
Well, and if you find through your presentations that you come, because since we're your first,
Yeah.
thank you for that.
Yeah.
You are a Preston County.
Yeah.
And so if you find during your presentations that there's additional information that pops up that you
Yeah.
think would be good for us to know, if you would please get a hold of our office and,
Yeah.
and get that to us, because as you work through something, I'm sure that's
Yeah.
going to be the case.
So kind of the next plan is that I'm looking at doing a town hall. Is going to work with the EDA and the chamber, and actually doing a town hall, trying to either do by Zoom, or if we can find a place big enough to have businesses and different people from different municipalities being able to come in and actually do that. This is just a side note, and one of the things actually going back, because I talked to the city of Salem on a couple things, but this could actually even get to the point where, as a county or as a state, if we wanted to process credit cards to take some of the utility bills and things like that, you could actually negotiate your rates on a lot higher level and do a lot of. So, I mean, there's so many things.
Just by cutting out third parties.
Yeah, just by cutting out third parties, but then also being able to do the volume. I mean, a lot of them get paid back, and that was one of the things. The city of Salem didn't really want to deal with the credit cards and adding that additional fee. I know the courthouse adds fees, but I mean, just by even countywide, if you went to them and said, hey, this is all the volume we're doing between all of our little towns and the county office, where would that put us if we were saving 1%? That's when you're looking at those numbers. So it's just that once you start at the bottom and you build up, the opportunity is endless.
So what's your goal, David, you mentioned that you wanted a pilot. When you talk about a county being a pilot, are you talking about that there's a certain number of people that you need to buy into?
Well, what ultimately, I think what the other counties in the state and people are looking at is allowing to go ahead and redirect through the portal, not make any changes, but just to start getting user counts. And look at the user counts, and then be able to, start placing some ads, and, looking at that revenue platform to see what the opportunities and stuff are there. It's the numbers itself. Like I said, when you look at what Facebook and some of them pull out in revenue, we could be getting a portion of that.
I don't know. So you'll let us know.
So
our
IT, yeah. So the next step, like I said, my plan is to meet with the other counties, go ahead and start looking at town halls in March. And like I said, I'll be working with the local EDAs and the chambers, and then trying to set up those meetings with, Trilogy being there. And they'll be able to talk a little bit more about the tech side of it, and being able, to look at how all that works and kind of the steps. And like I said, from the standpoint of what we do, there won't be a lot of change initially. And then once it goes from a pilot to, being able to move this into a business model, adding a phone app for the area would, be an option. And then the only thing you would have to do would be put in the city you're looking for, put in the county, the town, the municipality, and then be able to search through. So, and ultimately, instead of sharing the stuff to Facebook, if you have things going on, you would rather share it in your local portal, email, update the apps on your phone and keep it, all that content and everything inside that bubble. Okay.
So you're just gonna keep in touch with?
Yeah. And like I said, this is the first presentation. I've got Trilogy under contract. One of the things, internet security is huge. They do a lot of government contracts with the FBI, security, things like that. So, and me being from West Virginia, Preston County, I'm trying to do everything local. And so they're based out of Morgantown. Okay.
Cool. Thank you, Dave.
Thank you.
I have one other item. I have the seat reimbursement. Request for the president to sign the seat reimbursement is for the pay period of July 1 to January 1 through January 31, in the amount of $9,128.58. I'd ask that the president be authorized to sign.
I will make the motion at this time that we authorize the president to sign the seat for January.
Second.
It's been properly moved and seconded to authorize the president to sign the seat grant document. Commissioner Smith?
Yes.
Commissioner Price?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right, let me get back to my agenda here. I believe we've taken care of all of our appointments and moved through our administrator's report. So that's going to bring us down to our commissioner comments, and we will start with Commissioner Smith, as I know he needs to run out.
Well, the only thing I have is I actually sat through the NACO Veterans Committee meeting on Sunday, which is very enlightening. Had a lot of good information about veteran homelessness and things of that sort, which is great. So something we'll probably be, working on more in the future with different grants and things like that. And also, the other thing is this week, there will be a solid waste authority meeting. We're just doing a quick one because at the beginning of the month, we weren't able to do it because of, having to be at Preston County Day, and we're going to have a forum. I will be leaving here very shortly to go judge social studies.
The county social studies.
Yeah.
All right, Commissioner Price?
Had a good meeting in Charleston, West Virginia Association of Counties. And on our day at the Capitol, we were able to make some good contacts and found out about some legislation that sounds really positive, that probably will move through both houses of legislature and be passed and signed by the governor. One of those would be an amazing help for our dilapidated buildings program that we've begun here in Preston County, and we're developing, and we hope by spring we'll be ready to fly into action. And at the same time, the legislature is, I think I don't know if that's the real title to it, but it's about this thick, the bill, and you've got it here, don't you?
I think it's
Yeah.
in my bags.
And,
I think it's in my bags.
It's been something they've been talking about doing for the last few years.
Right, but they got the bill, and the bill is supported by the governor and by the majority House and Senate. So it looks like that'll
Senate
fly.
Bill 522 or 552. It's one or the other.
Anyway, they call it casually 10,000 structures. And that's what they look at to be able to use probably ARP money. Or it could be some extra tax revenue that they found themselves sitting on. And anyway, they would target 10,000 structures to be changed, whether it would be demoed or rehab, depending on the structure and where it is and the value of it. So had a good
Sure.
conversation.
It was a great conversation, and when we were having the conversation with Jeff Wainwright in the auditor's office, he had notated that he just absolutely loved Preston Country Club to come up here and golf. And we talked a little bit then about Alpine Lakes Golf Course, and we talked about the middle, right in between the two golf courses in downtown Terralta, that there's a lot of structures there that, a lot of rehabilitation that needs to happen, because if you go in any direction, it is the most beautiful country up there. And there's a lot of things that could benefit greatly from that town. And so we kind of pitched the idea of, wouldn't it be great if this bill's passed that Preston County be a pilot, to for some of this funding and how it works, and set the, just cleaning up a few of our downtown drags in our county would drastically, make some big differences in the tourism and the other things that we're working very hard to get going. So
We've got a good response. There's a good chance that they might actually come up and make this mountaintop community a little bit of a project. And we're finding out that a lot of these structures, when we were going through our beautification committee, cleanup committee over the last 5 or 6 years, and then moved into this ordinance recently, we're finding out that a lot of the structures that are falling down or neglected or dangerous or whatever are owned by people who are out of state and haven't been here for years. And if they know, they don't care. Likely, a lot of them don't care, because it was left to them 8 years ago or 20 years ago, and now they're being used by homeless or drug people or whatever. And it's just a sad situation. So a lot could be done with that.
Sure.
Another thing, we touched bases and had a lot of conversation with delegates and senators, mostly the delegates, about the EMS funding that they're hoping to put in place and how they would fund it. And so there's a lot of that going on that can help us with our EMS assistance here in Preston County and our plans for the future. So those are two things that are my last year here goal, and there seems to be some good things happening that can help us with that, make it prettier and safer. I mean, how much better could it be?
Just to add to a little bit of our time in Charleston, Preston County Day was a great opportunity. You always learn something new every time you come. It's definitely not wasted time. When we were there for the West Virginia Association of Counties on our final day there, I attended the legislative wrap-up. And the importance of being a part of the West Virginia Association of Counties, and more so the County Commissioners Association, is they are down there in the know. And so they are constantly sending communications by email to us, working on our behalf to help with issues that the counties are up against. They are a huge advocate, and they certainly make us aware of things that we need to be pursuing to help here on the local level. What you find when you attend these, whether it be commissioners or the clerks or the sheriffs, that West Virginia Association of Counties houses all of your local elected officials across the state. It's just a great networking opportunity that allows sheriffs to talk with sheriffs about what they're coming up against, commissions to build relationship with other commissions, especially ones that are similar, a makeup of, population or demographic, whatever it might be, so that we can compare notes as to how we're handling situations and things that affect us because we're all faced with the need for EMS. We're all faced with no volunteers and funding for fire departments. We're all faced with just a plethora of things. And so it just is just a good time to really be able to just be a sponge and learn a whole lot of things that we can benefit from. A couple of the bills in the legislative wrap-up, because you can't be every place at every minute down there, and there is so much going on and your time is limited, but they did a legislative wrap-up, and some of the bills that really caught my attention, one was, this would affect Dawn. He does a lot with our solid waste authority, and a Senate bill, I think it was 554, and it's also House Bill 4505, is the transfer duty of the solid waste authority to the DEP. So you might want to stay on top of that one.
I have, I've got it, I've been they want to do away with the solid waste management board.
Yes, yes.
So,
And on the Solid Waste Authority, if you have any connections to where recycling containers, we can locate some. I know some of the schools and a couple other organizations in the county that are looking for recycling bins that say recycling to try to,
I tried to get with the different ones.
Yes.
Through the litter control officer and trying to get that organized. It hasn't been the easiest thing to do sometimes.
yes. So if you have any information there, we need to check because there's a need for sure on that. There was some other bills that are moving through. One is Bill 4789, which is the deputy sheriff pay raises. All those things tend to affect, when it boils down to, it affects the county commission budget because we fund the sheriff's department. And with a pay raise for any department, along increases your benefits, your benefit packages, your retirement packages, all of those things increase. So following along those things are very important. And I just have a ton of bills that we're watching, and I could sit here and go on for hours, but I'm not going to. So just know that, when we're not in session having a meeting, there's a lot of things that we're working on continuously that just affect our local county government in great lengths. So,
A couple of other things that I can throw out there that affect commissions, but they affect the people is some changes with PEIA, the health insurance and.
Yes, sir. There is an active thing today.
Yeah,
that
Bill's
you would need to reach
574.
out today about PEIA. They're asking for, it could be as much as 5%.
Right, but that is one thing also looking at, because this affects taxpayers pretty regularly, and that is the jail fees. And they had looked at an increase last year, but it was late it was after we had done the budget, so the pressure kept them from doing that. So what we're hoping is that they would not increase the jail fee per diem this year, freeze it. And it looks like that'll fly, and that the state is gonna come up with enough money to pay the regional jails the new per diem, but only charge the counties what we're being charged now, which would.
it's like $48 and some change is what counties are paying per day. For
$48.54.
Yes, $48.54, and the difference is it costs like 52 and some change right now, so the state's.
54.13.
That the state is picking up additional currently right now.
So that's kind of a relief until they get that worked out. And so that's a couple of things that I always say when you're down there and you look at this legislation and whether it's EMS or the dilapidated buildings or PEIA or anything, I think what it amounts to more so than it ever did is what happens in Charleston doesn't stay in Charleston. That's what it amounts to. And there's a lot going on that will affect us.
A lot, yes.
So that's it. That's all I got. It was a good meeting.
It was a very good meeting. While we were in Charleston, I did attend our full board Economic Development Authority meeting. And of course, Robbie Baylor is our Economic Authority Director here in Preston County. Continuously fighting the battle of broadband and, other things that we have coming across our plate, and super excited about the launch of our new website. Robbie, when are we projecting that to take place?
I think we are probably at least a month out.
I thought we were getting really
Yeah,
close.
we're getting really close, so we've been through website tax several times, as you know.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, I think that does anyone else have anything else today? All right, then we are officially adjourned.
Turn it on? Yes. Yeah. There you go.